Remembering that you're going to die is the best way to realize that you have nothing to lose. This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. We got some foam checks going on here. We got a couple guys deadlifting and squatting. And so let's get to it. Let's check it out. This guy here is doing a conventional style deadlift, kind of a big guy. Let's see what he's got going on here with his form. Sometimes big guys tend to have a little bit of a rounded lower back. They sometimes will have trouble locking out deadlifts due to the fact that they have no acetol, taking no acetol pills. So let's see what we can see here when he does his deadlifting. Does a good job driving his legs into it. Does a decent job dropping hips. Does a good job of getting most of his body back behind the barbell, which is important. And overall, the technique is pretty good. Let's watch it one more time. One thing I would say here is that, a few things. One is he's doing a little bit too much with the head. I'd like to see a strong neck, a little bit more of a neutral head position here. That's going to actually help you to tighten this area up a little bit more and clean some of that up. So you're a little tighter throughout the entire range of motion. The other thing that I'm seeing is that the weight that you have on the bar is actually a little bit too light for me to give you a really appropriate assessment. But keep in mind, when you're doing a deadlift, you're trying to push off the floor and then pull the weight into you. And I think you could get yourself a little bit closer to the barbell. You also could get your hips back a little bit this way, a little bit more. See how your hips are right here? I would have you push your hips back to about here and then start to continue downward. So you're going to need a little bit more spring in those hamstrings for that. You kind of push them back there, but then you go straight down. So I'd push them back even further. That also looks like you're kind of jammed in here, so I'd try to open up a little bit more and force the knees out. Play with your stance. Maybe bring your stance in. Maybe bring your stance out. Everyone's going to be a little different with that. But just make sure they're not running into your arms. So this is the last time we'll look at this one. Again, the form's pretty good. Neutral head would be a little bit better. Looks like you're pushing the weights forward a little bit in the bottom position. That's pretty much all I'm seeing. Other than that, man, really good, good form, good execution there. So let's go to the next question here. This is from Daniel. He hit me up at powerprojectarmy@yahoo.com. And now he's going to do some squats. So let's check out the squats. Now, if you look here at the squats, first thing we notice is this little pink. What is this little pink bear right here? What is that? Whatever that is, that's amazing. And I need one of those. Anyway, here he is hitting up some squats. Again, these weights look a little bit too submaximal, a little bit too light for me to give you a real assessment on. Depth looks pretty good. Knees are out. Looks like pretty good. Folding in on the instep of your foot a little bit. That's controlled by screwing your feet into the floor and getting your hips in there. Let's watch it one more time. Again, I'm not seeing a whole lot. It looks like you have pretty good form. I would also recommend, those look like kind of like regular shoes, but I could be wrong. I would recommend, squatting in something that you feel, or squatting in a better shoe. A Chuck Taylor, Nike makes some pretty decent Chuck Taylor-like shoes, and of course, I'm working with Reebok on making a powerlifting shoe that's going to rock. You can also look into getting Olympic shoes, which are beneficial and can help you with your depth. One thing. Just try to get yourself out of the bottom position quicker. Unless it was your goal on this day to do a pause squat, I would get yourself out of that bottom position faster, like you did there. But even faster than that, commit to that squat from the beginning. When you hit the bottom position, knees out, chin back, and throw yourself out of that bottom position. We got a question here from my boy Gags. Let's see, he's got 875. This is my boy John Gaglione, GaglioneStrength.com, I believe is his website. Guy writes for T-Nation on occasion. He's a guy who's come down considerably in weight. I think he's lost about 60 or 70 pounds so far, and is continuing to drop weight, hoping to make the 242 weight class, and he wants to be jacked and tan someday. But here he is with an 875-pound reverse band squat. The reverse band squat is to help allow you to overload and to handle more weight. Weights are lighter at the bottom, heavier at the top, accommodating the resistance. He's got some briefs on here, as you can see. Good bar positioning. Elbows look good. He's just leaning forward a lot, though, which can be okay, especially for somebody who carries the bar low. If you carry the bar low, you can lean forward in your squats, but you have to he's got to open up more down here. It looks like this is not the greatest view because he's got so many spotters there. But you got to really open up at the hips more, chest high, good neutral head position. It looks like there. But see the lean and see how stuck he got there. Something about depth in the squat is that if you're proficient at squatting, if you're efficient at having less movement, you'll be able to get depth easier. You'll be able to get depth faster. You'll be able to have the appearance of correct depth sooner and more efficiently in a power meet. A lot of times there's always all this controversy about depth, but really a lot of people don't realize the controversy about depth is also a controversy and a conversation about form. When your form is bad, your knees come forward and your hips no longer lower, then that's when people start to get confused on whether the guy hit depth or not, because the guy had a large range of motion sometimes. Sometimes the guy will move the bar pretty far, but he's continuing to lower his knees and not lower his hips. You want your knees to stay as high as possible, especially in a geared powerlifting squat. And a raw squat's a little different. The knees are going to have to come forward at some point, especially if you're somebody squatting, 2 or 3 inches below parallel. There's no question about it. The knees are going to come forward a little bit. But remember, we're trying to open up at the groin. People are always talking about forcing the knees out, and that's one way to cue it. But your knees actually don't really physically go out. They're driven out by the hip. And so you really need to try to open up through the groin and drive everything out through the hip. Really make sure you're locking those feet into the ground. You want to try to get your foot straight and then just twist it out a little bit. Twist it into the floor. So not bad squatting there, Gags. You definitely need to work on your depth. If you're going to put on more gear than that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble trying to get depth. So make sure that chest is up, and make sure that if you're going to dip, which it looked like you were trying to do there, make sure you get a little bit more of a dip in there. So now he's got a video of a 600-pound deadlift as well. And let's see. Let's cross our fingers and let's see what that looks like. Because I've seen Gags deadlift before, and I got to tell you, it's not pretty. Okay, here he goes. Gaglione strength sign in the background. He's in a suit, as you can see. Let's see what he does here. Not bad form. I like how he aggressively went into that. I do not like how he stays at the bottom here for so long. But he's trying to think about what he has to do here. I always like to see the hips go back and down, and then the chest come up and through. Looks to me like he could have got the chest up a lot better. This thing is a pain in the ass to rewind, especially with one hand. Can't always put these in the coach's eye because that just creates too much work for me, but here we go. Let's pause him at the bottom here. Yeah, he just kind of went, he just went into it a little bit early, which was fine with 600 pounds, and it won't be fine with 625 pounds. Again, big guys a lot of times struggle with their lockout, just kind of due to like their body mechanics. Trying to wind it one more time, but Jesus, a pain in the nutsack. knees out more, and also pulling the chest up. Same thing we just talked about in the squat. You want to try to flatten out. Right here, he needed to flatten out his lower back a little bit. Just a little bit through here. He just kind of ducked into it in a little bit of a lazy way. Watch him kind of duck into it without straightening his back. And now he's rounded here, right? And now he's just going to pull from here. Had he straightened that out a little bit, the shoulders would be back a little bit, the shoulders would be up, the chest would be up a little bit more, and he'd be solving a lot of his issues. As it is here, he has a decent amount of weight behind the barbell, but he's slumped over. And it's a fast pull, but in order for we're not trying to only pull 600, we're trying to pull 625, 650, 675, and so on. I think that's all the questions for today, if I got it right. Oh, there's one more dude. Let me see. One more guy in here. Hold on. Stay with me. Marvin Green. Marvin Green hit up a 500-pound deadlift for a double. He's got a sideways video. So let me see if I can... Whoops. I'll put him like this. See if we can watch him like this. This guy looks like a struck match, doesn't he? Am I allowed to say that? Of course I am. He sent me a video. He knows he's going to get made fun of. But this is 500 pounds for double. This is a big improvement from the last video he sent me. Something I'm seeing here. Knees are forward too much. And he's in the bottom position for too long. And then he threw his hips up out of place. So his hips should be right there to start. So let's see if we can watch him one more time. He brings his hips up high to pull. I know it's a little bit awkward viewing it this way, but this is the way the guy sent it to me. Never shoot videos sideways, ladies and gentlemen. Sidewards. Knees are too far forward. Hips are down too low. Knees are too far forward. Hips are down too low. You should be deadlifting from this position right. Right. God, you guys shoot long videos. Right there. He should be deadlifting with his hips much higher as he does on his second pull. Hips should be right there. That's about good enough. Okay. When you bring the hips up, the knee will be, the leg will be straighter. The knee won't be forward. The knee won't be in the way of the barbell. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from supertraining.tv. I hope you enjoyed the video and my favorite hat. Later.